The blizzard of 2026 has detonated into a bomb cyclone with hurricane-force winds, and it is worse than every major forecast model predicted 48 hours ago. As of this morning, the storm's central pressure has cratered to 972 millibars, so violent that satellite imagery reveals an eye-like feature churning off the New England coast, a structure normally reserved for hurricanes. More than 400,000 customers have lost power across the Northeast, and that number is still climbing. Freehold, New Jersey has recorded 22.2 inches of snow. Islip, New York has crossed 22.5 inches. Wind gusts of 74 miles per hour, hurricane strength, have ripped through Stony Brook on Long Island. 7 governors have declared states of emergency. Every road in New York City is closed. Every New Jersey transit bus, train, and light rail line is shut down. And in Connecticut, the president of Eversource's Electric Operations, Steve Sullivan, has warned that power may not be fully restored for 4 to 6 days. But here is the detail that should stop everyone. The last major winter storm 4 weeks ago killed over 100 people across the United States. In New York City alone, at least 18 people were found dead outdoors during the storm and the brutal cold snap that followed, many of them homeless, some of them with previous contact with the city's shelter system. Mayor Zoran Mamdani was criticized for failing to force the unsheltered indoors. He stood at a press conference Saturday and promised this time would be different. 18 warming buses, 13 school warming centers, overdose prevention sites open through the night, Code Blue activated across all 5 boroughs. But the snow is heavier than last time, the winds are stronger than last time, and the city that lost 18 people 4 weeks ago has not yet answered a basic question. Is this system enough to keep it from happening again? Here is how the storm became a monster that no one saw coming. On Wednesday, a shortwave trough slammed ashore on the California coast and raced east. By Thursday, the National Weather Service issued winter storm watches for the coastal Northeast, but the forecast was modest, a few inches, a nuisance. As late as Friday morning, the 2 most trusted computer models in the world, the European model and the British model, still showed this system sliding harmlessly out to sea. Then 2 separate energy systems, one diving south from the Great Lakes and one surging northeast from the Gulf, merged faster and closer to the coastline than any reliable model predicted. Meteorologists call this phasing. When those 2 systems locked together, they created an atmospheric engine of extraordinary power. By Friday night, the National Weather Service upgraded watches to blizzard warnings across the entire Interstate 95 corridor. New York Governor Kathy Hochul held an emergency press conference and told reporters that 2 days ago we were expecting a run-of-the-mill February storm. But over the last 24 hours, this forecast has shifted dramatically. And literally in the last hour, we received word that it is even worse than we expected. But that was only half the collision. A wall of high pressure over eastern Canada blocked the storm's northward path and shunted its track west, pressing the heaviest snow bands directly over every major city from Philadelphia to Boston. In the world of nor'easters, 50 miles is the difference between a dusting and a disaster. That blocking high steered the storm into a corridor of 44 million people. And then came the part no one planned for. The snow falling overnight was not the dry, fluffy powder that blows off a driveway. It was heavy, wet snow, the kind utility workers call heart attack snow because it clings to power lines and tree limbs and loads thousands of pounds onto infrastructure that was never designed to hold it. That weight buckled the electrical grid for hours before the strongest winds even arrived. Then gusts of 50 to 74 miles per hour ripped through a system already on the verge of collapse. In Brooklyn, firefighters used power tools and ropes to cut trees off parked cars that had been crushed under the load. On New Jersey, Route 17, near Saddle River, a downed tree blocked the highway. Along Jericho Turnpike on Long Island, branches snapped onto roads that no plow could reach because the travel ban meant no crews were running those routes. Here is the problem that is not making headlines. Steve Sullivan, the president of Eversource's Connecticut subsidiary, stood beside Governor Ned Lamont at the Emergency Operations Center in Hartford on Sunday and delivered a warning that should have led every newscast. He said that tonight and most of the day tomorrow, our focus will be on fire and police safety incidents, including blocked roads. Translation: the utility cannot even begin restoring power until the winds die down on Tuesday, and full restoration could take 4 to 6 days. Governor Lamont backed him up. He said, "This is not our first snowstorm. We are in New England, but this is going to be a bad one." He paused. "I know how frustrating this can be after a day or so." That timeline means hundreds of thousands of people in Connecticut, New Jersey, Delaware, and Massachusetts could spend up to a week in the cold. Temperatures tonight will drop into the low 20s. Now zoom into the bullseye. New York City is buried. Central Park has recorded over 15 inches, and it is still falling. The Bronx has passed 15 inches. Dongan Hills on Staten Island hit 14 inches before midnight, and the heaviest bands had not even arrived. On Long Island, islip crossed 22.5 inches, with snow still falling at 2 to 3 inches per hour. Every street, highway, bridge, and tunnel in the 5 boroughs is closed to non-emergency traffic. The subway C line is suspended. The Long Island Railroad is shut down system-wide. The Staten Island Ferry shifted to hourly service. City Bike shut down at 8 p.m. Sunday night. Earthcam footage of Times Square this morning shows one of the busiest intersections on the planet completely empty. No cars, no tourists, just a handful of emergency shovelers working under neon lights in a whiteout. And this is where the scale becomes staggering. 10,000 flights canceled through Tuesday. LaGuardia's cancellation rate for Monday was over 90%. 2,600 sanitation workers are pulling 12-hour shifts. 2,300 plows are on the streets of New York City alone, backed by 700 salt spreaders and 1,000 emergency shovelers hired off the street at $19 an hour. DoorDash suspended all New York City operations. Broadway went dark. The Met, MoMA, the Guggenheim, the Whitney, the Museum of Natural History, all closed. The Statue of Liberty is closed. Offshore, the National Weather Service issued a hurricane-force wind warning for the waters off the continental shelf, with sustained winds of 55 to 70 knots and seas building to 15 to 30 feet. But here is what makes this blizzard different from every storm in recent memory. This region was already broken before the first flake fell. Governor Hochul declared a separate state disaster emergency on February 18, 2026, 5 days before this blizzard, not for what was coming, but for what had already been endured. The relentless cycle of winter storms since late January had significantly depleted the state's supply of road salt and vital resources. In Connecticut, snow crews are exhausted and town budgets are drained. Along the Jersey Shore, stores that had just restocked salt after the January storm found their shelves stripped bare again by Saturday afternoon. New Jersey Governor Mickey Sherrill told CNN that we were all just finally starting to see grass, starting to see the ground again. We were just starting to feel like maybe we were getting past that, and now this next snow comes in. And in New York City, the snow from that January storm never fully melted. It sat on the sidewalks for 4 weeks, black with soot and mud. Tonight, up to 2 feet of new snow fell on top of it, a frozen layer cake of storms that this region cannot outrun. The storm is still raging as of this morning. The heaviest snow bands are expected to continue hammering Long Island and southern New England through at least 10 in the morning. Power outages are still climbing, the winds are still gusting at near hurricane force along the coast. The fundamental question hanging over the entire Northeast corridor remains unanswered. Will the power come back before the cold becomes lethal for the hundreds of thousands sitting in the dark tonight? Will the warming buses and school shelters and overdose prevention centers be enough to protect the people who were already sleeping outdoors before the blizzard buried the city? And what does it mean when a region that has not recovered from the last disaster, whose salt is gone, whose crews are spent, whose dead from the last storm are barely in the ground, is struck by a worse one before the snow has even melted? The pressure is still dropping off the New England coast. The eye of the bomb cyclone is still tightening. And somewhere in New York City, right now, a sanitation worker is 12 hours into a shift that is not ending anytime soon, pushing a plow through snow that is falling faster than any machine can clear it. The blizzard of 2026 is not winding down. It is still at peak intensity, and the worst of the aftermath has not even begun.